Oh, get some people in here and have a chat. It's chilly this morning. Beautiful morning. You guys want to see what my backyard looks like? See, baby. All right. Here's a lawn. I got to deal with that trailer this week. What? Yeah. Well, alrighty. Get the other phone up here. Yeah. It's a purdy morning. Let's see. Oh, there's our. You guys like that thumbnail? That is the word Snorelord in Viking runes. Scribe, did Jeff and Pale Rider and James Best ever go to bed last night? I went to bed while the video was still going. And on Big Rig Radio Network's live feed, excuse me, last night. Yeah, you caught me. So I figured get some people in here. We only got 11 people in here. You gotta wonder. Well, you know, it's funny. James made a good point. James Best made a good point yesterday that he had 40 people watching him, watching his channel, watching the chair, watching his chair. And that needs to be a troll account, you know, James Best Chair, because James Best Chair is a better YouTuber than, you know, gets more of an audience than most people like me. I called him up as much as other people did. It was kind of funny talking to him. And they went on for another, 4 hours, I think, something like that. I thought that was interesting. So I am a coffee drinker, Logic Neo. I got my Life Trucking cup. It says something about the best contractors in the business. I can think of one contractor that's not producing right now. Me. But we got our coffee. We got a truck update. And obviously it's not fixed yet, right? Or else I wouldn't be here. Well, maybe I would. Who knows? All right, so we'll get into the truck. We'll do some shout outs and we'll get into the truck. So let's see. We got Little Viking Coach, Don Schonger, Jonathan Wheeler, Jesse Bennett, Candyman, Scott SRO Logistics, The Scribe, Southbound Pachyderm, The Post Trip. Let's see. The Scribe, Logic Neo, Marty. So you buy a second truck. Why would I buy a second truck? So here's what's going on. Alexander, what's up? So I took the truck in, just in case you didn't catch my last 15 live feeds, you know, where I talked for 3 hours. I took the truck into the shop on Friday for a DOT inspection, a PM, all fluids changed in the differentials and the hubs and all that, and then an overhead. Basically some much needed TLC. And I figured I'd get the truck back by Monday, everything would be good. And of course they found a couple of issues, which I was guessing they probably would. The truck's old enough, it's 7 years old, and you know, it was time for some things to come up. You know, one of the things you guys got to realize when you own a truck is whether it's paid off or not, things still age. And so a truck is never truly paid off, because I've already put more money into this truck this year. You know, luckily it's been easier to stomach because of the lack of payments. And that's where a lot of guys get in trouble. is, you know, you're dealing with major repairs and a truck payment, and that's where you really get screwed. Anyways, they found metal shavings in the rear differential, so they called me and said the parts wouldn't be until Thursday to rebuild. You know, first they asked me if I want a reman. I said no. Every single person I've talked to says don't get the reman, either rebuild it there or get a new one. So I opted for the new one, which was only $800 more, which was good to know. Now, those of you in the non-trucking world, and you just heard me say the word only $800 more, that's the level of expenses that we have to deal with in the trucking world. And so it was $800 to take it apart. So that's probably looking to be about $4,000 by itself after parts and everything else. I think the differential was 29, add 8 for the teardown, and then I don't know what it would cost to put it all back together. So yeah, that's kind of, man, it's cold out here. It's so on top of the other things. Now the other thing that went down was the front hubs were over torqued the last time they were dealt with, and so therefore they had to replace those, and that was another $1,000, but actually $1,200 total on the parts. So we're probably flirting with seven or $8,000 on this repair. I'll be surprised if it's under 8. So people like go, well, when a turbo blows, that's a huge chunk of money at once, or it. What a lot of people forget about is that sometimes it's not one big thing, but it's a bunch of little things, and I know you wouldn't call your rear differential a little thing, but still, things add up over time. And in 7 years, metal rusts, plastic goes bad, rubber goes bad. I was sitting there in my pickup yesterday, and I grabbed something out of the back seat because I had to cover up something because I was going in the store and I didn't want that item to be seen. And so I grabbed one of those sunshade things, and I'm like, it's all wet. I'm like, what the hell? So I look, and there's water dripping into the back seat of my pickup. Had no idea. The truck's a 20-year-old truck, so it's 18 years. So, after time, it doesn't have that many miles. It's got 167,000 miles. I've seen 2-year-old vehicles for sale that have that many miles. So, rubber and plastic and seals and things age over time, so that speeds up exponentially on a commercial vehicle. Even if you leave the truck sitting in a parking lot for 2 years, things age, rubber dries up, sun beats down on it, whatever, Is that what it might be, Jonathan Wheeler? I kind of suspected that might be the case, because when I close the door, the white light comes on, the reverse light comes on the brake light, and one of the bulbs is out, so maybe that's the problem. I got a hood you can use. I'm headed to Cali in the shaker. Oh, wow. Must be good paying. It's good paying coming out of there. I know somebody that's making good money going in, so there's that. Great Freight Sage Logic, Dalton, Bob G, Jeremy Rice, third brake light Lincoln. Okay, I already talked about that. So that's the update on the truck. Is that it's probably going to cost me a pretty penny. Now, notice I'm not freaking out. Notice I'm not under any kind of stress. Notice I'm not angry about it. because it's beyond my control. And when you have major repairs done to your truck, you have to count your blessings, because if you don't, you're going to get depressed, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have anger. And the blessing is that we found it early, to where I'm not on the side of the road under a load, having to get a load repowered, having to deal with hotel rooms, because they found the problem Sunday. And so it was Monday morning that they called me and said, okay, here's what a reman would cost. And I said, well, no, let's go new. I said, okay, well, that's not going to come until Thursday. So TJ Jones, what's up? TJ Jones, I heard you guys are now, Utah is now concealed carry. I don't know if you live in Utah, I can't remember. But congratulations on that if you do. Nevada, what's up? So my blessings is I'm not at a hotel, I'm at home, I can get stuff done around here. I've got the means to pay for it. I'm not dealing with a hotel, I'm not dealing with a rental car, I'm not dealing with the shop that I'm not familiar with, I'm not dealing with, repowering a load, which that could cost money. So I mean, it's a blessing. Usually when you lose a turbo, it's at the most inopportune time, at the worst place. The last truck I had blew its turbo on that transition from 69 to 80, 94, whatever it is, up in Indiana, like right there where all that construction was. I found the only place I could pull over and dealt with it. And even that had some blessings, because I didn't have to get towed. I had a tow truck follow me to the Snyder Yard in Gary, Indiana. I lost my load. I was only 40 miles away from that load, which had to pay the repower fee. But and then the downside is I was trying to make it home, but under bobtail. But I got to St. Louis, so I just hit the Kenworth there in Troy. But what I should have done is hit the Cummins shop there in probably Indianapolis, not Indianapolis, Chicagoland there somewhere. So. James Best's in the house. At least you can pay to have all those things replaced. It'd be awfully nice if money could buy me new ear hair cells so my tinnitus goes away. I used to move back to Oregon in 2019. Okay. Big Houston, what's up? Grafton. Alexander Rocker, I hate that you have tinnitus, man. I know that there's some natural remedies that can not eliminate it, but it'll help a little bit. Dr. Berg has done some videos on that. Just type in Dr. Berg tinnitus and see if any of that helps. But I have tinnitus that comes and goes. That's years of headbanger music playing live and all that. Usually at practice we're pretty good about wearing earplugs. At concerts I'm usually pretty good, but two of the loudest concerts I ever went to one was Striper and White Lion, believe it or not, and then Testament. Testament played a small club here in Springfield back in 88, 89, and I think I suffered permanent hearing damage from that, because one ear was clogged up for a week. So, Pale Rider TV, what time did you guys finally end that live feed of Jeff's last night? Fishing, loving every day, enjoy your home time. It truly is a blessing to be home for forced downtime. Yeah, Nevada, I mean, that's how I am. Ask anybody. I'm usually I may not be the most upbeat, like, hey, what's up? How's it going? I'm not that guy. But And I've definitely have done some videos where people like call me afterwards, like, Steve, you okay? You sounded pretty down. And Jeff used to talk about I would do these Landstar videos, and he thought I was going to jump out the window, so he had to reach out and help me because he knew that I was struggling at Landstar. And but I try to be a little bit more upbeat than that, but I'm not like little guy that's like a showman. I'm not that guy either. So I'm just me. Sometimes I'm boring, sometimes I'm excited, sometimes I'm animated, sometimes I seem more sad than I actually am. But the important part is you see honesty and no fear. I don't show fear. Crowds don't bother me. Audience doesn't bother me. And big truck repairs don't bother me. Do they suck? Absolutely. Is it like, am I feeling warm and fuzzy? Absolutely not. But there's nothing I can do. When something's out of your control, there's nothing you can do. And the more you're prepared for when things go down, because they will go down, okay? The easier it is to handle, the easier it is to get rid of that anxiety, the easier it is to deal with the fears and the anger that comes along. Because there's nobody to be angry at. This is just wear and tear. Everybody that's a truck owner has gone through some kind of rebuild of some sort or another, whether it be the rears or the clutch or the engine or anything. And you can't control that. The only thing you can control is how you react to that. That's what I've been trying to teach my kids. I've been working on teaching my daughter how to drive, and I said, look, you can't control the people cutting you off. You can't control people not using their turn signals. You can't control the crazy driving and the red light running and all that stuff. The only thing you can control is how you react to it, both mentally and physically. Someone cuts you off, don't panic and, do a sudden movement. But don't get angry at them either, because road rage never ends well. And road rage is nothing but a battle of egos. What's Marty saying? While you're at it, you might as well get a rear diff with a locker in it. A locker? What are you talking about? Steve Watkins, my truck, there were several little things, but the big thing is the rear end went out. And so we're getting a new rear differential installed, and we should be good to go. And that won't happen until tomorrow. They said the parts won't come in till Thursday. So I imagine the truck will be ready by Friday or Saturday, but we got somebody to come by the house to look at the roof Friday. And I believe there's and it's Mother's Day this weekend. So more than likely, I'll be out Monday. That's kind of what I'm looking at. My mom is moving away, and so this will be pretty significant Mother's Day this year. And so there's that. So it's not just a truck. There's always something going on, and that's why I run the way I do. Now, in a numbers perspective, I did my numbers for April. Really went down to the nitty gritty, and my net was not much less than my gross, which was awesome. And that enabled me to pay off some bills that make this repair a lot less painful. It was kind of interesting to listen to Jeffrey Like last night talk about looking at $11,000 lawnmowers and things of that nature. And I don't know, it just, I remember when I was a kid, we'd be in my dad's little 30 horse, little bass boat. And one of those big, huge Rangers with like, 200 horse would just, nitro would just fly by us, and we're, you got the weight going. And I go, Dad, wouldn't you want one of those? He's like, absolutely not. He goes, why? And I go, why? He goes, well, because I see a boat payment, I see a headache. The gas alone in that would make each fishing trip expensive. And then that would miss the point of fishing. The point of fishing is to be happy. The point of fishing is to get away from it all, not create more stress. A boat like that only creates more stress. And at the time, I didn't really understand, bigger is better, that kind of thing. And now I get it. So I know a lot of people that have way nicer things than I do, but their stress level is through the roof. And with everything going on in the world, see if we can't move back a little bit, get out of the sun here. With everything going on in the world, there, let's do that. You need about as less stress as you could possibly get. Everybody's tripping on this this PRO Act that might be coming along. I'm not worried about it. I have a contingency plan in place, but I think we pass the ABC test. James, and actually it was Eric, Inspector, that were talking about LLCs yesterday on James's channel, and James is MIA. That was the first thing I did before I even bought my first truck. And I'm so glad I did it, because now that's not a stress. I listened to the best people in the business at that time, and they said you need to do that. Autonomous trucks, that's another topic that comes up. For a couple of years ago, I think it was around when certain YouTubers weren't getting along with Uber, so there was a lot of anti-autonomous, they're going to take over everything type videos from, I think it was more of an attack on Uber than anything else, but because Uber was supporting that technology. I don't think they have those trucks anymore, those auto trucks. But anyways, there was a lot of fear put out there about autonomous trucks. They're going to take your job. They're going to take your job. And I'm like, whatever. I have other skills. If I can't drive a truck, whatever. I take care of my health so I can drive a truck. And driving a truck allows me to be an entrepreneur, which is cool. That's an exciting life to live. But I think it was Jay Cannell that said it best. If you worry about autonomous trucks, then do the jobs that they can't do. I don't have my head in the sand. I think that they're more of a realistic. I think there's more abilities that people aren't looking at, like the drone capabilities. If you guys have noticed that Domino's Pizza's experimenting with those little cars, automatic cars, autonomous cars that will deliver your pizza. It's funny because that's an experiment. And they're so little that they really can't cause any death or harm. But that's an experiment to see if that technology will work, in the form of capitalism. But you've got drones that someone in Whiteman Air Force Base can fly, of a drone that's physically like in the Middle East. that's some serious technology. And then there, you know, Gary Compton has talked about remote control driving in some of the trucking schools that are experimenting with that. But am I worried? Nah, I'm not worried at all. Let them. You know, an autonomous truck is less likely to be looking at his cell phone going down the road, getting in my lane, and almost taking my mirror out. So, you know, whatever. But my head's not in the sand. You know, I watch things like that. Um, when it comes to rates, everybody's freaked out if they're coming down. You know, when the pandemic was happening, everybody was freaking out. You know, I admit I was a little bit on edge as well for about a couple of weeks, and I realized, you know what, this won't last. It'll get better. And boy, was I right. And it did. And again, it was all about reaction. How did this country react to the vid? How did this country react to the election? How did this country react to, you know, different political and social economic narratives? You know, how did your business react to the trials and tribulations that you are going to or are facing? And true power lies on how you react, remaining calm. And then you just have a contingency plan, have a backup plan. You know, what if? You know, my wife and I are always playing the what if game. Usually it's late at night before we go to bed, and she's, you know, my wife will do all these what ifs, you know, and sometimes they're ridiculous, sometimes they're not, you know. And the reality is you never know what's going to happen, you know, short of a alien invasion or a cosmic solar, you know, EMF wave that, you know, takes out the country. You know, you got to be prepared for most anything. You know, ask anybody that lives in a hurricane zone, ask anybody that lives in a tornado alley, ask anybody that lives in a war-torn country. You know, you have to be prepared for anything. And I think as Americans, we've become complacent. And so whenever the slightest of feathers are ruffled, we overreact, we overthink, but we don't overcome. We overreact, but we don't overcome. And that's the biggest problem we have in this world today. Reaction without thought, action without plan, action, you know, without the question, what if I fail? And ask any entrepreneur, failure is always a learning situation. If I go belly up, it's because of something I did, or I'm doing. You know, and my job is to lessen the risk as much as I can. So it doesn't hurt anybody else if I do fail. You know, we'll still have our home, we'll still have, you know, we'll still have everything, you know. Oh, let's read some comments here. I hear that I'm who I am. I seem to be the trend. Treat every market like a down market when you actually are in a down market. That seems to be the trend. Treat every market like a down market when you actually are in a down market. And I've been in a down market. Now, granted, the last time I was in a really down market was at Landstar, but the concepts were still the same. And while guys with new trucks were losing their business left and right, so were guys with paid off trucks. Paid off trucks can tend to give you a certain bit of complacency, I know. And then when it comes time to trade the truck in or
you have a major repair, now you have to go back to your old ways that you might have forgotten about. And we did a video about I did a video about not losing your roots. No worries, be happy. Nevada, I mean, I believe that to a certain degree, but there's a difference of not letting things affecting you and putting your head in the sand. You know, you guys have all seen that meme with the cartoon dog and the whole building's on fire. He's sitting at the bar like, everything's fine. Oh, cat wanted out. You can't be that guy, but you definitely can't, like, oh, my rear differential's out. This sucks. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Now, if I couldn't pay for it, that would be a bad deal. And I think that's where it lies. You know, there's an owner operator I know right now who is barely getting by the skin of his teeth. If he has a repair tomorrow, he will not be able to pay for it. And if he's watching, he knows who he is. That would give me anxiety. That would give me sadness. That would create fear. And I know that I wouldn't handle that situation very well. So I made damn sure that I wouldn't put myself in that situation. Just looked over my recommended vids. OTJB plus 10 hours, and Jeffrey Like plus 3 hours, and even the OTGAB is on the thumbnail. Does he ever get out of that basement? Dutch? No, he doesn't. He did 10 hours on his own and then did 3 hours with Jeff. I'm surprised he didn't go to bed after he left. His own feed. Trucking industry would get exemptions on the Pro Act? I don't think so. Toga, what's up? Jeremy Rice. That's why I live like I'm broke and save my every dime. John Armstrong's in the house. Who wants to stand in the street and wait for your pizza? I think that's what Pale Rider said, right? If you could have bought a rear diff for $500, would you have just done the repair yourself? It took about 6 hours. Drop the axle shafts, drop the drive shaft, and you're good to go. Switch swap differentials. Well, Marty, I don't know where you're finding a differential for $500, because I have a friend that has an old 97 FLD Freightliner, you know, with the big hood, and his was still like 2,500 or something like that. And no, I don't have, I have enough tools to change mud flaps and lights and airlines on my truck. And at home, I don't have those kind of tools. I'm not, you know, I'm glad that you're self-sufficient and can do that repair yourself, but I'm not in that position. I waited on the street for Domino's the other night and paid cash, old school. Chinese rocking on your head, it's their master plan. They're all short. Get the tall Westerners first. What's this cash you speak of? Still working on that envelope of cash from selling the ProStar games. Knowing how you could prevent failure, major repair, accidental health problems, know how you could... Okay, knowing how you could prevent failure, major repair, accident, health problems, know how you could prevent failure. Nevada, I think what you're trying to say is failures could help you learn how to prevent future failures. Am I right? The chair did 4 hours. That's true. I leave the heavy mechanical work to the professionals. Rainy money. Look, it's been said to me that having an old truck if you're running OTR with an older truck, you're going to want to know how to do some repairs yourself. Running regional with an old truck, you're going to want to keep a stash of money if you don't know how to do the repairs. Now, my regional approach has really worked the net out in my favor. But I knew I wanted to kind of expand a little bit. I knew I wanted to run a little bit longer, a little bit harder. So, and there was some much needed maintenance that had to be done. And I knew that they were going to probably find something at least. They always do. A 7-year-old truck, now while my mileage is low for a 7-year-old truck, again, that's also on purpose. There's still things that are going to come along simply because of age, and I believe that my warranties with the rears and everything else have gone away, not because of mileage, but because of age. So, but we will ask them that question when I go to pick it up. Used differentials with the power divider, dollars $1,800. Used rear differentials, $500. They sell them that much, guys that scrap out trucks. Marty, I will disagree with you, because if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. If it was that cheap, everybody would be doing it. The odds of finding a good rear differential for a 2014 PACCAR product are pretty slim. That are not going to be in much different shape than what mine is. So, I will disagree with you, Marty. I repeated myself bad. I like, in my case, just getting a truck looked at all the ways I could possibly fail at what I'm trying to accomplish, knowing things that would be catastrophic. Look, worst case scenario, everybody goes, well, blown engine, okay? Now, James Best disagrees with this pricing, but for my truck and for other Cummins engines I've seen, $42,000 for a new engine. If you can get it cheaper, great. So there's that. New turbo is going to be about 10. And those are going to be your 3, and then of course, all new fuel injectors, that's going to be about, between 5 and 10, depending on what your truck is. New after treatment, if you're driving a Freightliner, that's between 11 and 13,000. There's more catastrophic repairs than just the engine. You can have the most sound engine and the whole truck fall apart around it. That'll still cost you money. But where a lot of people don't realize, it's the nickel and diming. That's what really kind of gets you. You take a $40,000 hit, you get a loan, you get it fixed, or you trade up the truck, however you want to do that. That's a black and white situation. But at the end of the year, when you look at and like, wow, I put $40,000 in this truck and didn't even realize it, those are the things that really kind of creep up on you and make you go, man, hopefully eventually I'll have everything replaced, but there's always going to be something. Just knowing them is privilege. Absolutely. In my country, having an old truck engine means that you can't come into cities. That's why truck pools get updated quickly here. Iceman going live. What's up? Eddie Jotar, what's up? Nailed it. I don't know if I said hey. Hey Snow, what does the new radiator cost these days? I have no idea, Robert. Especially for a pack hour. I have no idea. You need to get a "So There's That" t-shirt. LOL. I would buy one. He just disappeared, Pale Rider. Sorry, there were witnesses and I gotta roll once my pre-trip is done. Oh wow. Eddie was the star on Just Livestream. So you guys went on like another what, 2 hours after I went to bed? I have thought about doing the StreamYard, or not StreamYard, Teespring thing. I have thought about that. I've got a new logo that I'm trying to work on. Now, if you guys follow me on Instagram, and if you look at the thumbnail, that is a new tool that was acquired that was custom made for me. Hence the runes, the Viking runes on the top of the tool's spout. We're trying to keep the lingo down. And hopefully we're gonna see if that thing works pretty well today. So hit an indoor place, because I know the outdoor place is probably going to be chock full. So yeah, so that's the update on the truck. The truck is going to cost me a little bit of money, and looks like I'll actually have to work a little bit harder. So if there's any other comments, questions, we're at 42 minutes. I try not to go over an hour because I'm not James Best. I'm not Jeffrey Like. I am my own person. I would venture to say James is probably a pretty good shot. Either that or he's such a horrible shot. That's why he reloads his own ammo, is because he he can't afford to buy it all the time. Nah, I bet you James is a pretty good shot. Look, Marty and I talk quite a bit on the phone, and he definitely has a different outlook. I'm not going to beat Marty up, but he definitely looks at things in a different way. And I grew up around people like him, and I can relate. But sometimes that unique observation can not thinking inside the box. I think that sometimes that can help you, but then I think it also can hinder you from learning why the rest of the world seems to be successful at one thing, but a person isn't. Marty's doing pretty well for himself, or so he says to our phone conversations, and and he definitely gets the live feeds riled up, especially when James Best is involved. The Marty rants on James Best live feeds have been some of the most classic moments on his video channel. So, and by the way, if you guys are willing to pay James to go stare at his chair as a membership, I'm going to start the membership thing, and then here's my impression of a James Best video. There you go. Look, people like Marty make life interesting. Makes the live feeds interesting. Where's the beer? Oh, no beer yet. I got some whiskey here though. Will that work? Will this work? I got some Bacardi 151 right here. The difference is you have to invite someone to the stream before you walk away. The reason why I asked about the new radiator is because anyone can get a pinhole leak in it any time and have to replace. I had a friend that he's a YouTuber that had to replace his radiator when he blew his turbo, and I forget what he said on that video what that cost. At least you're missing the DOT blitz. Well, you know, that's why the truck went in the shop on Friday, is because I wanted to make sure that it was number one, tip-top shape. You know, so I told him, I said, go over this with the white glove, man. I want to know everything that's wrong with this truck. And so far, knock on wood, the rear diff is the only thing that they found. So I even have a light being replaced. It had a tendency to blink, and it's not supposed to be a blinking light. So, you know, those marker lights on top of the cab on T680, I want to punch whoever designed those at Kenworth, because number one, they're hard to replace, especially if they've been sitting up there for a long time. Every single one that I've had to replace has given me issues, so I won't replace them myself. Number one. Number two, I don't have the tool. I don't have the torque wrench or whatever. It's like a special star wrench or something. Now, I did watch James Best replace his. I think, James, did you replace them yourself? But Kenworth, TA, doesn't matter. Anybody who's tried to replace any of them have had issues. So I might as well get it down in Kenworth. Paying more money for it, but the last time they had to literally put a different kind of bolt in there because the other one wasn't working anymore. And so that's the last one. I think after that I've replaced all of them. And they get water in there. Yeah, the light bulb works, but they get water in there because that rubber around the light goes bad. And so once you get water in there, then it's a wrap. And so you got to catch it before the wiring gets screwed up. So, but yeah, whoever designed those lights needs to be punched in the face. Yeah, mine were frozen. If I'm not mistaken, you're running a PACCAR. What's your experience with that motor? Never mind the noise of what everybody else thinks. Nevada, I've had no performance issues. After treatment issues have been sporadic at best. I've had more trouble with sensors than actual engine. I have better torque and better power than most Freightliners. Proof of that was at Transland. I was talking to friends that were driving the Kenworths, and then, you know, Transland went and bought like 5 Freightliners, and those PACCARs were out pulling the Freightliners every single time. Now, PACCARs are more expensive to work on, but they go down. You know, the turbos in a PACCAR will last longer than a Cummins, and these are mechanics telling me this. But when you do have to replace the PACCAR turbo, it's going to cost more. So, in my experience with PACCAR, is if the part is cheap, the labor is going to be through the roof. If the labor is cheap, then the part is going to be through the roof. There's no middle ground, it seems like. You're trapped to Peterbilt and Kenworth dealerships versus a Cummins or Detroit. You can go to independent Cummins and Detroit shops. So there's that. So would I buy another PACCAR? I don't hate PACCARs, and it is of my opinion that most engines are about the same on quality, except for Max Force, and I do know that their after treatments share the same traits as the Cummins. and I would much would rather have the after treatment of a Cummins or a PACCAR than over at Detroit. Volvo, Mac, it would just depend. So I've had all I've had all I've driven. The only engine I haven't really had experience with is Detroit, so I can't really sit there and say PACCAR's better than Detroit. But based off of people I talk to or whatever, I have no issues with the PACCAR. Knock on wood. Business as usual on I-81. I replaced my condenser radiator, air to air, and coolant reservoir. $2,800 done at Cincinnati Radiator. So, Big Rig CO's in the house. Love my DD15, 792,000 miles. Look, any of these engines, except for Mass Force, if you baby them, they will treat you right. If you baby them, change the oil, go synthetic. You know, the harder you run that engine, the more you got to make sure that things are right. Most truck failures at this point in time is usually after treatment, sensors, electronics, things of that nature. And that's the thing, you know, everybody talks about engine rebuilds and you know, in frames and, you know, all that stuff. But the reality is that it's all the other stuff that could really break you versus an engine rebuild. If I blew my engine tomorrow, I would have to make a decision, but it would be an easy, I wouldn't say it's an easy decision, but I have to make a decision. Whereas when a truck's nickel and diming you're always on the cusp. Do I replace it? Do I trade it in? Do I, you know, and we've had those debates. Some people say, you know, keep repairing the truck, and other people say just get a new one every 4 years. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. As usual, I'm always in the middle with everybody's extreme, you know, reactions to everything. You know, I'm enjoying having a paid off truck for now, but if I do blow an engine, you know, we'll see how much other stuff I've had to replace. You know, because eventually, look, you can pay off a truck, fix everything, put a new rebuild engine, you know, just keep running it for 1.2, 1.5, 2 million miles. I know a guy that's got a Peterbilt 389 that's got 2 million miles on it. However, finding parts becomes harder and harder and harder the older the truck gets. A 2014 T680 is not the same as a 2021 T680. And when those new gens come out, 2022, and fleets start buying those, that's where the focus of the parts is going to be. Spectre, that's funny. Little light coach, that's gross. I was told not to get the Volvo motor, but did anyways and love it. Look, that's the thing. People will tell you, I can't believe you got that. You know, if you came up and said, hey, Steve, man, I bought a Max Force engine, I'd be like, cool, I wish you luck. But I'm not going to sit there and dog the guy. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you're going to have a lot of problems with that. You know, I'm not going to do that. I've had problems. You know, it's kind of like the whole Ford versus Chevy debate. Pale Rider, calm down. Calm down. The whole Ford versus Chevy debate. I've had bad Fords. I've had good Fords. I've had bad Chevys. I've had good Chevys. And in the end, they all have the same goal in mind. All the engine manufacturers, all the truck manufacturers, they have all the same goal in mind. And the only reason why I'm hard on Max Force is because International admitted that they put that engine out before it was really tested and really needed to be out there. In other words, they put it out there without testing it. Sound familiar in today's world? They put something out in mass volume without testing it? So. The new T680 are looking like a great workhorse functionality and making it easier to work on and look a lot better. And that's the thing. A 2021 or 2022 T680, they've worked the problems that the 2013s and the 2014s had. You know, everybody that I know that absolutely despises PACCAR based off experience, it was those first gen 2013, and it was mainly a lot of the after treatments. Now, I will say this. The engine you should go with, the brand that you should go with, is the one that stands behind their warranty the best. That's it. Doesn't matter if it's Max Force, doesn't matter if it's PACCAR, doesn't matter if it's Detroit, doesn't matter if it's whatever. If that company will not stand behind this warranty when it goes bad, then that's the one that you don't want. And that's why I've seen whole fleets get rid of early PACCARs, because they wouldn't stand behind their warranty. Now, I've never had to utilize the PACCAR warranty, but I do know that it came in handy for Daniel Adami, who needed a new engine. So it's all about how that company treats their warranty. And that's it. Because the warranty is where the real meat and potatoes are for the catastrophic breakdowns. And if you don't have a warranty, then you need to save up your money even more. If you have a warranty, you need to save up your money, because trucks can still nickel and dime you even with warranties. Yeah, they're still dealing with lawsuits over that Max Force. Nevada says, you missed my comment on the 826. That was my personal experience with it. Not sure which comment you're talking about, Nevada. I'm horrible. Type it again. Look, everything's doomed to fail at some point, hence the warranty. Why do you think Freightliner won't warranty that one box? Because they know it's a bad design. They will warranty anything that causes the one box to go out. But proving that's a different fact. That's a different, situation. And look, my experience with one brand might be different than somebody else simply because of the shops that I live near. I have, if I was in, say, a place like Dallas, I don't know if I would own a Kenworth because of all the things that I've heard about MHC in Dallas. Just like I won't own a Freightliner here in Springfield. So that plays a big part in it too. Now, everybody will bitch about a shop, but MHC in Springfield is a platinum rated shop. But more than likely, if I do go new or different, I would probably at least attempt to go more towards Cummins. But Cummins cost me money too. I had a Cummins in the Peterbilt. It wasn't all unicorns and roses there either. So it just gave me more opportunities, or more dealers to pull that truck into. I could take it to any shop versus just PACCAR shops. And that would be the true advantage of the Cummins, is you can take it to anybody. So, all right. Stay away from the International A26, 500,000 miles, blow motor twice, DPF filter issues, sensor issues, along with the small things. Nothing but headaches.
Yeah. James, look, James's channel has literally blown up. And it's fun to trigger him. That's kind of the goal, I think, with some of the commenters. You know, by talking about several things. These are the list of things that trigger James best. Number one, Packard. Number two, calibers. If you say that a 45 is better than a 22, he will fight you over that. Okay. Marty, he's a trigger. Freight Broker Live used to be a trigger. I think not so much anymore. Um, oh, Johnny Sacco, he triggers him. Calibers and Packard, I think, are the two biggest ones, though. Calibers and Packard. So there's that. As we witnessed yesterday. Now, the scary part is he makes valid points with each of those arguments. He makes valid points about caliber. He makes valid points about, you know, Packard. He makes valid points with his extreme methods of giving you the message. Are the rumors or actual fact? A bad name is easily to get, but a good name takes a while. Dutch, that's a good point. Yeah, how many times have you guys seen bad reviews on a Google, you know, on a shipper receiver, and you're in and out, and now everybody's pleasant, you know, that kind of thing. You have to wonder, you know, sometimes it's a person's inability, like, you know, people are like, oh, you got to get a truck without the emission stuff. Well, you got to evolve. You can't just, by wanting an engine that doesn't have the after treatment. I get the appeal to that. That appeals to me as well. But also, if I ever have to get that skill set to deal with the after treatment system, I won't have that skill set. So, look, the industry forces you to buy newer stuff because of parts ability, or, you know, parts, being able to get the parts. That's why you don't see, you know, too many guys out here with cab overs, because getting parts for those are probably a nightmare if something goes down. And whether it's an old truck or a new truck, you still go through the same strenuous driving, you know, conditions. When you're dealing with people, attitude is everything. That is true. Brisket, is that a trigger? James messing with the Peterbilt. Peterbilt was a problem. KW or walk. Welcome back. Hello. But yeah, I mean, you know, as far as the rumor comment, Dutch, when I talk to actual drivers that live here in Springfield, and the experience that they've had with certain dealerships, and these people don't know each other, you know, yeah, I think the big thing with some of these dealerships, I'll give you an example. Freightliner in Springfield. What's the biggest truck company around here? Prime. I think that maybe Prime drivers get a little bit, might have a more positive experience with Freightliner, because they, you know, they're going to cater to the fleets first. And I've noticed that a trend with all dealerships, Kenworth, Peterbilt, Freightliner, is that if you're a one truck pony coming in wanting to make a deal, yeah, they don't care about you. They want the guy that's going to come in and buy 10, 20 trucks. And so it's really disheartening when you go into a dealership and you're getting ready to make the biggest investment ever in your life. You know, 150, 160, 180 grand, and you get treated like crap. And that's a weird feeling. And that is what keeps me from going out and buying a new truck. One of the things is because
you can start a brick and mortar business for a tenth of that, you know, and it's not a depreciating asset. A building is not a depreciating asset. A truck is. And to sit there and fork over the biggest amount of money that you've ever had, a big amount of money that could bankrupt you and force you into foreclosure, and you get treated like, whatever, like you're buying a pizza. It's like, we don't care about you. That really bothers me. And the last good salesperson I've dealt with retired from MHC in Joplin. And I have yet to find somebody worth. I did talk to a good Volvo guy last year. But he did do a couple of follow-up phone calls, but he could probably tell I was on the fence and was nervous about the market conditions on buying the truck. So I choose one of two different headaches. The headache of trying to make a truck payment and dealing with warranty and dealing with that end of things, or just keeping up with the nickel and dimes that this truck's throwing at me, which, we won't get into depreciation or anything like that. We won't get into the tax deductions and all that stuff, because that's for somebody else to talk about. Dutch, they do have their own repair facility, but most warranty work is still done at the dealerships. Welcome back. Good deal. I work for Warner Mechanic at a major terminal. Said they have nothing but trouble from the A26 because it doesn't get hot enough to work well with the Cummins after treatment on the LT. If it ain't a bread, it's a Captain. Oh, that's funny. You gonna smoke a brisket? Well, that's a good deal. If you have to pay a 50% FET on a new truck, it adds up. I think if you buy a truck at 100,000 miles, like something that somebody turned in early, or went out of business, as long as you know that the truck wasn't a lemon, I think that is a good way to go. I'm not gonna say it's the best way, but I will say it's a direction to look at. It's a better way of putting it, because the truck's already broken in a few things. Any of those first glitches that come out of a factory have already been dealt with, and you don't take that FET hit. So welcome back. That's what I did for Christmas dinner this year. I did a brisket. I didn't smoke it, but I think that's next on my man card. I need to get is a smoker. I don't have a smoker. I've got a grill, but I don't have a smoker. So with that being said, guys, we're over an hour. I appreciate you guys coming in. Give me a thumbs up before we. I know you would, James Best. I know you would. Is that what you youngins are calling it these days? Give me a thumbs up before you leave. Get our message out there, whatever message that is. I have no idea. I'm just a bearded guy telling you some crap that's going on in my life. There's something I need to attend to today. I'm gonna, with my son, and we're gonna try out our new thing that's in the thumbnail, hopefully today, and make sure this other thing that I have isn't screwing up, because if so, I've got to send it back to the factory. But other than that, I appreciate everybody that's come in. I appreciate the positive vibes. And I'm going to leave you with this message. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens to you. All right? That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all you got control of. Peace.